Evelyn Tribole, Intuitive Eating, a Revolutionary Anti-Diet Approach. Welcome to the world of intuitive eating, as presented in Evelyn Tribole's Intuitive Eating, a Revolutionary Anti-Diet Approach. In this enlightening book, you'll learn about the dangers of dieting and the crucial role our mindset plays in determining our eating habits. Breaking free from the emotional roller coaster and moral policing of food, this book summary offers valuable insight into how we can practice conscious eating and tune into our body's innate wisdom. Say goodbye to restrictive diets and rediscover the joy of eating by honoring your hunger, making peace with food, and developing mindfulness around satiety.
Why dieting doesn't work. Dieting is counterproductive and can lead to weight gain. The diet industry is worth billions, yet obesity rates continue to rise. Eating healthily is simple in theory, but our emotions and societal pressures make it difficult in reality. We need to understand that it's not our lack of willpower that's the problem, but the dieting products themselves. Dieting and deprivation. Rats and humans have a propensity to overeat after dieting or food deprivation. Dieting is a form of semi-starvation, producing biochemicals that create an irresistible urge to load up on calories. During World War II, a study conducted by Ansel Keys on young men subject to famine showed that their metabolism decreased by 40%, leading to depression, irritability, and binge eating disorder. Dieting can be a vicious cycle that produces the opposite results of what is expected. The power of intuitive eating. Discover the natural way of eating that will free you from diets and overeating. Dieting is a form of voluntary semi-starvation that conflicts with our body's biology, leading to excessive feasting tendencies and weight gain. The solution to this problem is intuitive eating. This approach to eating is based on the idea that the body already knows how to eat healthily, and all we have to do is relearn how to listen to it. The idea of intuitive eating may seem simplistic, but it has a profound premise. Research shows that toddlers have an innate ability to eat intuitively. They eat when they are hungry and stop when they are full, and their calorie intake remains consistent over time. There is no difference in the biological way of eating between adults and toddlers. However, the problem arises when adults force themselves into dietary straitjackets, ignoring their hunger and natural cravings until it becomes unbearable. The first step in intuitive eating is to honor your hunger. Rate your hunger level using a scale of 1 to 10 before and after each meal or snack. This exercise can help you identify your eating patterns, how much food and how often you eat. It will also provide insights into when and what your body needs, which will enable you to meet those needs and avoid intense cravings and overeating. In conclusion, intuitive eating is a natural and healthy approach to eating. It is time to stop depriving ourselves, listen to our bodies and meet our dietary needs, which will make us feel satisfied and free from diets and overeating. The emotional roller coaster of dieting. Food labels and diet restrictions play a role in our emotional state. Dieting creates a cycle of deprivation and guilty binging. All diets have one thing in common: restriction. They tell us what not to eat. This deprivation sends us on an emotional roller coaster where we eventually succumb to the "what the hell" effect. The solution is to let go of deprivation altogether. Food is emotional, and the labels we attach to it can evoke strong feelings. We label slimming foods as boring but virtuous, while fatty foods are deliciously sinful. The common myth is indulgence warrants punishment, that a moment on the lips is a lifetime on the hips. The truth is, few of us are mentally prepared for a life free from culinary sins. Trying to stick to a limited and overly strict diet leads to an unhealthy emotional roller coaster of depriving ourselves of the foods we love, then feeling guilty and giving in to the cravings. Diets are restrictive. They tell you what to avoid in the hope of achieving slimness, health, and happiness. Every diet assigns a scapegoat, whether it's carbs, fats, or sugar, but the one thing in common is that we have to give up the foods we love. This deprivation of the foods we enjoy sends us on an emotional roller coaster where we initially feel virtuous and guilt-free for avoiding bad foods. However, over time, we start to resent the restrictive diet, and eventually, we give in to our cravings, triggering the what the hell effect. The what the hell effect is when we have already blown the diet, so we justify going all out until our sense of deprivation fades. Then, we experience overwhelming guilt, and the cycle starts over. The solution is to let go of deprivation altogether. We must focus on moderation and listen to our body's signals. Creating a healthy relationship with food means indulging in pleasure occasionally and forgiving ourselves in the process. Making peace with food. Diets often feel like a battle between good and bad foods, causing stress and emotional exhaustion. The key to intuitive eating is making peace with food by giving yourself unconditional permission to eat. This approach challenges the idea that certain foods are addictively tempting and must be forbidden. Studies show that allowing yourself to eat these foods can decrease binge eating. By attuning yourself to your body's needs, you can learn which foods make you feel good and when it's best to honor your hunger with healthier options. Try listing and indulging in the foods you restrict and observe their effects on your body, but remember to eat mindfully and with intention. Food police, how they lead to irrational thinking around food. A critique of how moralized food judgments can become irrational thinking, and how to make more informed eating decisions. Are you tired of hearing about good versus bad food and dieting laws that resemble commandments? It turns out that being ruled by the food police can lead to irrational thinking and an unhealthy approach to eating. But how can we challenge these beliefs and make more informed decisions about what and when we eat? Although raw apples are less caloric than a slice of apple pie, neutral observations like this won't help us make pragmatic everyday food decisions if we moralize food so much that we're struggling to think clearly. The food police, the internal bureau of dietary investigation that's memorized every food rule you've ever picked up, deserves much of the blame for this. So, how can we overthrow the food police and make better food choices? The first step is to identify irrational thinking. If you're having repetitive and intense feelings about certain foods, challenge those feelings by asking follow-up questions. What are you saying to yourself, and what's true about your beliefs, and what's false? According to the authors of Intuitive Eating, Evelyn Tribole and Elise Resch, uncovering irrational thoughts can help us replace them with something more reasonable. For example, if you think eating a pizza for dinner will make you wake up much fatter the following morning, this thought is irrational. Our bodies don't work that quickly. Instead, eating pizza, which is usually pretty salty, might make you retain more water, causing temporary bloating, not fat. By reframing issues this way, we can neutralize their moral sting. Having a pizza is no longer something reprehensible, and we can make more informed eating decisions. So let's overthrow the food police and think more clearly about our food choices. Mindful eating. Mindful eating requires giving yourself permission to eat and listening to your body's signals. Honoring your hunger and respecting fullness means learning to suspend judgment and eating with intention. Pausing to check in with your body, paying attention to taste, and rating your hunger and fullness levels will ultimately help you identify your last bite threshold and develop the skill of intuitive eating.
As we wrap up our summary of Intuitive Eating, a revolutionary anti-diet approach, it's time to embrace the transformational power of intuitive eating. By rejecting the counterproductive nature of dieting and its emotional baggage, you can learn to listen to your body's needs and adapt your eating habits accordingly. Challenge the irrational beliefs of the food police and enjoy a healthier, guilt-free relationship with food. By practicing conscious eating and paying attention to hunger and satisfaction levels, you can redefine your last bite threshold and nurture a positive approach to nutrition that will last a lifetime.